What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and today we have an absolutely stacked episode in store for you guys. Joining me on the show today is an individual who you've seen on this program a couple times before, and two new individuals who you have never seen before. I'm really psyched for what we have in store today. So, first of all, the face that you will recognize, host of the Fumblerooski Podcast, Mr. Adam Wright. Adam, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. We just finished recording an episode on football, and holy crap, did we have plenty of news to cover, especially with Cam Newton. I'm sure you'll want to cover that coming up, but yeah.
We will get that. That will be the first story that we do cover today. But before we get into that, the two new faces I want to introduce to the show. One of them is an individual who I've known at Bryant for basically as long as I've been there, since the first day we ever moved in. I have to say he's one of the most electric and hilarious guys I've ever seen on campus, Mr. Trevor Saunders and his brother Drew. Welcome to the show, you guys. How you doing today?
Good. Just moved in, ready to talk about sports. A lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, before we do any of that, I did promise we'll touch on the Cam Newton thing, but Trevor and Drew, obviously this is a mainly sports show. So, the main thing I like to do with all new guests is I like to ask them kind of like what their athletic backgrounds are and what they're doing now in athletics. So Trevor, I'll start off with you and then I'll pass it on to Drew.
Yeah, I played lacrosse my freshman year of high school and then switched to track after that. Loved it. I did the 100-meter and the javelin, which is a lot of fun. I came to Bryant University, decided I wanted to try something new, so now I'm on the club rugby team, and I love that.
Yeah. And then Drew?
I pretty much just grew up playing everything, and then I've had 2 knee surgeries my freshman year, so I haven't been able to do much since, but I was on the golf team last year, but this year I'm not really doing much.
Nice. That's always great to hear. Now, I love talking with everyone about their athletic stories. Trevor, I love to talk with you guys about rugby. I've heard, I've had multiple individuals on the team reach out to me about trying to do interviews about, talk about more on the program. So be happy to coordinate with you and some of the other guys over there. So, really happy to do that, but I say we jump right into the main news today. And, holy crap, I was scrolling through my phone and I get a text. Adam, I think you were the one who broke the news to me. I get a screenshot from Adam, and it's a Tom Pelissero tweet saying that the Patriots have released Cam Newton. Now, when I saw this, I thought Adam had to have been trolling us because listen, he didn't send me a direct tweet. He didn't send me like anything like official. It was a screenshot. So I was like, okay, this could 100% be photoshopped. Adam will just be trying to troll me here. And I was like, this can't be real. Immediately, I go to Tom Pelissero's Twitter and I see the news and my mind just starts melting. Now, I can't believe this news. Adam, I'll kind of take it around to you guys and then I'll bring it back to me. Adam, what did you think of this news when you first heard it?
This is shocking. All right. So many of us, like about virtually half of all of us thought Cam Newton's going to be the starter in week 1 and going forward, and Mac Jones will be the starter later on in the year and maybe next year for all we know. But immediately we find out this earlier today, Cam Newton was released, and that leaves Mac Jones as the projected number 1 starter for the New England Patriots. And this makes me a little nervous because come week 4, when Tom Brady and company come to town, this changes the narrative and it puts an unfair amount of pressure on Mac Jones. And I'm worried that that something could happen and there could be a mental thing that happens with this kid, because Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, they have chips on their shoulders and they are coming in and they want to murder the New England Patriots. And we don't want our franchise quarterback, who could be our quarterback for years to come, to be scarred from that. Yeah. So this makes me a little bit nervous what happened.
Yeah. Trev, Drew, how are you guys feeling about this move?
I was stunned, to be honest. I thought Cam was going to start for the first couple of weeks, but I saw Mac Jones coming in pretty quickly right after that. I've heard multiple stories about how he's learning very quick, like picking up things. I know he's very competitive. And I know him coming out of Alabama, I knew he had a great team around him, obviously, with Saban, the wide receivers, you name it. So I thought, okay, maybe he's decent, but maybe he's about it because he has such a good team like around him. Who wouldn't be good? But clearly he's proved himself. I trust Bill. I always will. Why we let go of Cam Newton? I'm not sure because I figured he would at least be a good backup. Maybe it's a salary issue, but I'm so tempted. I'm so intrigued to see what Max Jones is going to bring. I can't wait. I have a lot of faith in him. I know Bill and Saban are very close together, so I definitely trust this process and what they're doing.
100%. Drew?
I like Mac. I think I've always wanted him to start. He's really just brought it this preseason with his high IQ. A lot of completions, no interceptions, really just getting it done. I'm excited for him.
Yeah. I'm very excited for it as well. Like Adam said, it's kind of a nervous excitement for me. I really wanted Mac Jones to be the day one starter, but I had, been going off the anticipation. Oh, they're going to name Cam Newton the guy. Mac's going to get like those reps and eventually he'll be brought in. And now that Bill Belichick has essentially, gone against everything that you'd think his philosophy would ever stand for and has decided to do this. Yeah, I'd be a little nervous too, but this just shows how much immense confidence they have in this kid. And I am so excited to see him on the football field. And when I was watching him in the preseason, now I'll tell you this, Cam looked really good. I will say this, Cam actually had some pretty good highlights. He did have that one pick against the Giants in week 3. That was kind of a great play by Blake Martinez and everything he did there as well. But, Cam didn't necessarily play himself out of the job. But what I saw Mac Jones do is the offense he ran in those preseason games, it looked as similar as a Tom Brady offense could look, and it's pretty much as similar as one has looked since Tom Brady has left the Patriots. I know Cam Newton is not a Tom Brady type quarterback and he is his own animal, but what Mac Jones brings to the table, I think it's extremely valuable. And especially, it's going to have Josh McDaniels, I think, in a more comfortable position because, they tried out the whole mobile quarterback thing. We're able to play around with it and do some things there, but getting back to their bread and butter, which is having, a more stationary guy kind of doing those little dump off passes, working around the field here and there and playing off the run. That's how the Patriots dynasty was made. And I think getting back into something like that is what the Patriots are going to thrive upon.
I agree. One thing that's very interesting to me is I personally wanted Justin Fields coming out of this draft because I just thought he was the better quarterback, better competitor, more athletic, everything. But with what you just said, he wouldn't really fit the system as much as Mac Jones does. Mac Jones fits it better than any quarterback I saw coming out of college. Yeah. And that's just what I trust. Instead of trying to make a different system with Bill, just keep the new system, different guys.
Yeah, 100%. He's been, I really love what he's been doing. All the credit to Justin Fields too. It looks like he may be the first guy to kind of break the Ohio State quarterback curse in the NFL and actually kind of have some production over there. But, I'll give all the credit to Mac Jones. He's really proven it this preseason. He could have had a lot of rookie mistakes, but, he's living up to the hype that he's, coming into the draft, they were saying that, he is the most pro-ready guy. And so far he's living up to that title.
See, he certainly deserves credit for his performances, Mac Jones, during this preseason. I just don't want to overreact to preseason.
Yeah.
And I just don't think Cam Newton played poorly enough to lose his job.
Yeah.
And I hope that I'm being a lot more cautious about this than maybe you guys are being more lenient about it, but I just hope that nothing bad happens out of this. I'm very excited, but this is also something that comes with a little bit of risk, and it could be a desperation thing from the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick making a lot of big moves during the offseason, during free agency, and now making the executive decision to move on to their rookie quarterback this early could be a desperation thing where they're just like, we need to make an impact now.
It could be a desperation thing, but I think it's more the case of it being, I don't necessarily think that, like, the more and more I see it, I don't think they cut Cam Newton because they didn't think he was good enough to play for this team. I think they cut Cam Newton because they arrived at the decision that he was going to be the starter, and he said, I'm not going to be a backup. And he said, I'm not going to do this number 2 role. I'm not going to try to come out if the kid has an injury. For him, it was starter or bust. And, he probably, Bill probably told him Mac's going to be the starter, and he I feel like he had to have just gone in and said, hey, out of a courtesy, can you please release me? I'd like to go prove my talents elsewhere. And I think Bill Belichick had immense respect for Cam because, like unlike a lot of players who have bashed the Patriots in the past, Cam Newton came in there and was saying how fun it is to play under a Bill Belichick offense and was saying these things about Bill Belichick and the Patriots that rarely any player has ever said about the Patriots. Like most Patriots, like you'll hear about them now, like a guy like Cassius Marsh, who has just bashed the Patriots ever since he left. He'll say like, oh, it's the no fun zone. You hate yourself when you're there and all this stuff. But Cam Newton kind of breathed new life into it. And I think Bill Belichick will always be thankful for that, but I'm ready for this new era to begin.
Sure. I agree. What do you guys think Cam Newton's performance last season had a big impact on the decision this year? Because I knew he was new, obviously. Patriots system is a very hard system to learn. He had a couple of mishaps that cost us a couple of games. And do you guys think that played a role into this year's decision?
See, I think it was more of this is more something where it was more of a veteran leadership type thing. Cam's been here for a long time. He's been kissing Belichick's ass ever since that season ended. And I think Bill liked that. And he said, okay, this is something that a young quarterback could learn under and learn how to act in Bill Belichick's system. And that's why he kept him around. And I mean, why they cut him now, I'm fairly confused, but I am
too, Adam. I will let you get back to that, but I am too, especially because like he got all the first team reps. Like, he was the guy who got these starts in all these preseason games. There wasn't one where Mac came, like it would have made sense for Mac Jones to come out for this third preseason game. Like the third preseason game essentially is the fourth now because they eliminated one. It would have made sense for them to be like, all right, we're going to roll up Mac Jones because he would have been the pseudo backup in this kind of scenario. And it would have been like,
Cam was treated like a starter.
He was treated like a starter the entire way through. So it really came as a shock. I have to ask you guys, like, Cam obviously missed a couple of days because of kind of a COVID mishap and with some stuff like that, and had to go through some protocols that apparently only apply to unvaccinated players in the league. Do you think this played a role in it by any chance as well?
It's possible. It certainly is possible, and it could have played a role in everything. But I mean, we'll never actually. Bill Belichick, everything he does is behind closed doors. He doesn't let anything slip out. We still don't know to this day why he benched his number 2 corner in Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl 52.
Yeah.
So we'll never know why they cut Peyton Manning. There will be plenty of theories that roll around, but the fact of the matter is he's cut and Mac Jones is starting.
Yeah. Did you say cut Peyton Manning?
Manning? Did I say that?
You said cut Peyton Manning. I was like, what?
Did I say?
Yes, you said Peyton Manning. I was like, what the hell did you just say?
I thought I said Cam Newton, but
no.
If I said Peyton Manning on accident, then
I think my brain just skipped a beat there. I was like, what the hell did he just say? But no, but you're correct. Like we still don't know why he benched a guy like Malcolm Butler, who actually just came out that he might be retiring due to a personal issue, which we don't know too much about. But this whole situation is absolutely crazy. I can't wait to see Mac Jones take the first snaps against this Dolphins team. It looks like that's going to be the case, but I was listening to some local Boston sports radio today, and they're saying, look at the Patriots who just made this kind of a shocking move. And then they said, look across the United States and, go down to the Bay Area, because the 49ers may also have something that they may be looking into today. And that would be quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. They also have a young quarterback that they really like in Trey Lance. And, obviously they on Boston sports radio, they were speculating, could Jimmy Garoppolo gonna be, is there a chance that he could be on the cut list today, as the 49ers may want to go with a new face in their offense? Do you guys think there's any chance with that?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't rule it out. The thing is, it's just is a completely different scenario because Jimmy Garoppolo can actually still play. Cam Newton, he's more of just a veteran leader, kind of just a mentor for Mac Jones. That wasn't the case with Garoppolo to Trey Lance. I'm sure he was a little bit, but he's at least somebody who could still play. Okay. And he's also somebody with some value. I'm sure they want to get something for him. At least I have to believe that they want it. It would be a waste for them if they just cut him.
I agree.
Yeah, I could see more of a trade for Jimmy Garoppolo than a cut.
Yeah, I agree with you guys there. I think that a trade more in line of what you'd have to see at this point. But really at this point, I think anything's up in the air. With Cam Newton getting cut and no one was expecting it, I don't think even the most valiant and diehard Mac Jones supporters, I don't think they were seeing Cam Newton getting cut. Like this really has kind of blown my mind. But obviously, Adam, thank you so much for coming in to talk some NFL with us. Always appreciate it, man. Trev, Drew, also glad to have you guys on to talk some NFL as well. But I am glad to get in with you guys. But obviously, Adam, I'll see you, dude. Take care. And I will see you, dude.
I'll see you guys around. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, later. All right, that was awesome to have Adam on for this episode. But the main reason the main topic of the episode today is with you two. I wanted to get you guys in because the main story I was planning to talk about on the show, already was the boxing match between Jake Paul and former UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley. I was planning to kind of do like a topical kind of thing of it, but then I had learned that Trevor and you, Drew, had gone to this event. Wow, I was very surprised by this. Yeah. I saw Trevor's story and I'm like, he's actually doing this thing. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So how did this start? Like, I mean, you mentioned to me before the program that you guys are big, Paul fans. How did that kind of come about?
We started, we've been into boxing a little bit with obviously everyone watches a Rocky movie, saw a couple Mayweather fights, a Tyson Fury fight here and there. And then we've been Jake Paul fans for a while now. Logan Paul as well, always watches podcasts, Impulsive. Yeah. And then Jake Paul started boxing. I remember when he first fought Deji, I didn't think much of it back then. And then I didn't think of much of it for the Gibb fight. But then when he fought Nate Robinson was when I really got into it. And then I ended up watching that, bet some serious money on it, won some good money there. And it's just been an absolute roller coaster of a ride since, following his career and everything.
Yeah, I will say that a Neeson Gibb fight is that was horrific. I mean, not on Jake's part. Jake absolutely clobbered the guy. I will say that. But what is that fighting stance from that guy? Like, he had probably the worst boxing fighting stance that I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen some terrible ones. Like, that was terrible.
That was brutal. The announcers were trying to make it sound even, saying it was unique and new. Like, just stop.
No, he didn't know how to box. I was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. It was like, I actually felt bad for the guy. I was like, what does this guy have? Like, this can't be like legit. But
in his last fight, he did look a lot better though. I will
really.
That.
Yeah. I think I had seen clips of that. I think he was starting to get out of that stance a little bit more and was kind of was boxing a little more traditional, which was good for him. But when did obviously going at that thing, when did you guys decide to send it out to the fight? I think you guys first went to the Logan Paul fight, if I'm correct. Yeah. So like, was it kind of like, oh, we've watched the fights on streams before? When did it come to your mind, all right, we have to go watch these guys fight live? Like, when did that first cross your mind?
Well, our first fight we went to was Ryan Garcia fight versus Luke Campbell. Okay. In Dallas. We went to that, and we were sitting up in the 300s. Didn't really have the best view. Mm-hmm. Then we went to the Logan Paul fight, and we didn't have the best view. And then I saw, because we're on Jake Paul's close friends list on Instagram.
Oh, really?
And he let out tickets for $10, and we just bought them. We were like, why not? $10.
That's crazy.
And then a couple days before the fight, we won some money when we went on vacation. And we were like, why not just upgrade, get the best seats we can? And we just sent it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, to go down to Miami to go and see those guys, like that's got to be just such a crazy experience. Now, I do have to kind of just dive a little bit deeper. What is it about the Pauls that you guys really like so much, as fighters, as like different things like that? What really kind of intrigues you guys about them?
Personally, I love that they just don't give a damn about anything at all. And nobody really picks up on that. Like, they're jokesters, they're trolls, they mess around. They don't even take themselves seriously sometimes.
Yeah.
But nobody really catches on to that. So they get a whole lot of hate. Oh, these people act arrogant. Look at what they're saying, blah, blah, blah. But if you can see past that, it's all just a big joke to get publicity. And I think they're freaking hilarious. So I just love following it. I love following them. I like pissing off all my friends who support them. And they win just about everything they do. So it's a great bandwagon to be on.
Now, I will say this. While I do while they do get on my nerves, I have to admit that they are marketing geniuses. So, that they know what they're doing. So it makes sense. Like you're not going to like just tone it down if you're getting this kind of a reaction for it. Like, I think they said it was like one of the bigger pay-per-view buys, like, ever. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, they get results. Now, when it came to doing the Jake Paul fight and going to that, I mean, going out to Cleveland, like, you're back on campus. You moved in. Like, how were you able to convince your parents to be like, hey, we're going to go fly to Cleveland and then we're going to come back and then we're going to move me into college? Like, how did that conversation come out?
They know how big of Paul fans we are. They know we like going to all these boxing matches and everything. And what's actually interesting is they never believed that we're going to be able to get tickets to this fight or to any fights. So what they always say is, well, if you can get tickets, you can go. Because like thinking, we're not going to get them. And my brother gets them every single time 2 days later. So we luck out, get them every time. And they're like, all right, go ahead, go do it. And we do.
That is crazy. Now, I mean, attending a fight like that and going to like these events. I mean, I've been to, sporting events. I've been to concerts. What is the vibe like in a professional, fighting environment? I mean, I don't know if you guys have been to like UFC fights or anything like that. I haven't myself, or to boxing matches of any kind like that. But what is the vibe like when you're going to a fight? Is it similar to, to sporting kind of, is a similar energy to that, or is it kind of its own animal?
That's a tough question. I'd say it's definitely its own animal in a specific way.
Yeah.
I would say there's definitely a lot more attention than sporting events because, for example, you don't know who the guy right next to you is rooting for, and there's a lot of passion there. A lot of passion when people walk out, the boos, the cheers, everything. It's very, very personal and intense in there, and the difference from being up in the stands and on the floor is like night and day. On the floor was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there was no experience like that I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, I saw you guys on the floor. Like, you guys were able to get around and meet a bunch of people. I think I saw you with Dustin Poirier, with Jake Paul's mom. How did that happen? Like, are there just so many people down there that, you just happen to come across all of them?
Oh, yeah. 100%. It was absolutely unreal. Drew had the best eyes I've ever seen. He spotted out every single person. Frank Gore, Dave Chappelle, Logan Paul, Jake Paul's girlfriend, Dustin Poirier, Jake Paul's mom, you name it. George Janko, Mike Malak. We met just about everybody. It was wild. Crazy. But, like, what was shocking to me is you always look at these people as big, famous people. But once they're down there, I mean,
normal people.
Yeah, just hanging out, enjoying watching the fight. Dustin was pouring his hot sauce in the people's mouths. Just everyone's a great, nice character. It was a great environment.
No, I know. It's like you see these people, through the camera, and that's the only, like medium through which you ever see them. And I feel like when you see them in person, it kind of does humanize them a little bit. Like, seeing Dustin Poirier in person. Now, it has to be, I think, a little bit intimidating, based on the fact of what he did to Conor McGregor's leg. But, everything like that, that's just gotta be crazy. And I mean, Drew, when you spotted those guys out, did you have to kind of do like a double take and be like, wait, is that actually Dave Chappelle?
At first, because the first person we saw was Logan Paul. Okay. Because we were sitting there for about like half hour, 45 minutes, and we didn't see anybody. Yeah. And I was like, damn, maybe we won't even be able to see anyone. And 5 minutes later, because I texted my friend, he was like, yeah, you'll see someone eventually. 5 minutes later, Logan Paul's walking right by. And at first I was like, no way. We walked up to him, not as tall as I thought he was. Not as big as I thought he was. But after that, once Logan showed up, the crowd started rolling in. Everybody was just standing there.
That's crazy. I mean, to be able to do something like that is just mind-boggling. I mean, I don't think I've had an experience like that, but the only thing I could think of where it was kind of similar was, a couple friends of mine, we went to a Red Sox game back in my senior year of high school. I don't know how big Barstool a Barstool sports fans you guys are, but when we went there, the main baseball guy who's also a Red Sox fan, Jared Carabas. I don't know if you're too knowledgeable of him, but he's like Barstool Sports is like baseball guy. Like, he is their guy for it. So I'm like a religious follower of him. I love his podcast, Section 10. I have a flag of it in my bedroom at college. And, like, me and my friends were just walking up to our seats one day, and we turn and this guy is literally sitting in our row, and we're like, this is freaking crazy. And, it's a podcast that we listen to like every single week. We love to listen to him because he's absolutely hilarious. And we're sitting in the same row as it. And it is kind of a crazy experience to have. I mean, I saw you guys had to kind of like take some quick pictures with some of them, and some other people like mini Jake Paul. I saw you guys were able to actually kind of pose and do a little thing like that. That whole environment just has to be absurd.
It was crazy. Yeah, it definitely varied on the pictures. I mean, definitely depending on the fame, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
One funny story was Jake Paul's mom gave us a little bit of attitude when we took the picture with her.
Really?
So yeah, we had just met Jake's girlfriend, and she was hyper as all hell, going around taking pictures with everybody. And then all of a sudden we see Pam, and we walk up to her, and we're like, hey, Pam, can we get a picture? She goes, yeah, but hurry up. I want to watch this fight. And we were like, okay, my bad. I love your son, by the way. Goodbye. And yeah, it was cool. I mean, they're just wicked nice people. A lot of people give all those guys hate for everything. I just think that they're normal, everyday people, and they just happen to get famous doing what they like to do.
Yeah, I mean, that really kind of just is it kind of in the end. From going to the Mayweather Logan Paul fight to the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight, are there any other kind of crazy stories that you guys would think about, maybe not even in the arena, but just going to like the place that like just being like only in Miami, only in Cleveland, where something crazy like this would happen?
That's a good question.
A lot of fist fights outside the ring in Cleveland.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, there were just as many fights outside the ring as there were in, which was crazy. There was a fist fight. 3 or 4 people got kicked out right before the main event.
What idiots.
Yeah, it was bad. A couple stretchers came out. It was serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, while that is the main thing that you want to see, you got to see some great fights too in between it. I mean, but you missed the whole main event. Like, what are you doing, man? Hold it to like. Have you ever heard the saying, well, hey, we'll take this outside, or see me outside and we'll do this there? Like, just say that, fight him outside. Yeah, it'll still be assault, but like, watch the fight first. Watch the fight. Glare at him from across the ring. Deal with it then. It's just so stupid. My God.
Literally, maybe take some notes while you're at it. Like, no kidding. Yeah.
Just be like, all right, this guy's definitely weak on his left side, so I'm gonna go force him there. But like, I don't know, like scout him out and then have it out in the parking lot. But my God. But all in all, the fight itself and the event was really electric. I loved watching it on TV, whether it was streamed legally or not. We'll debate later. But it was a great fight to watch. Even the undercards too. I watched the the Montana Love fight is getting a ton of praise now. The fight that I really watched and just saw an absolute bruiser was, I believe his name is Daniel Dubois. I don't know if you guys remember him. That guy is a bruiser. He was a monster in the ring, because I barely remember the guy who he faced now at this point, but he was no chump. Like, he was a solid fighter. But Daniel Dubois made his US debut rather, and absolutely kicked the crap out of this guy.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a surprise though, because Daniel Dubois, he was like a minus 6,000 favorite. But coming in, the guy he was facing was like 19-3 with 16 KOs. I did not think that was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he was not a chump by any means. I mean, like, he was a solid fighter, and just all in general, like, the undercards were solid. I mean, what were there any other kind of fights that you guys got to see in person that you thought were that you thought were good?
That Montana Love fight was crazy, because he's originally from Cleveland.
Okay.
So all his friends from Cleveland, everybody was there, and everybody was just on their seats, just watching the whole fight, going crazy the whole time.
Yeah, that was a great fight. Everyone thought Tommy Fury was going to blow him out, and that's definitely not what happened. Tommy did not look good as he should have been coming out in that fight. Didn't hit him really hard. I mean, Pretty Boy just came out there and put in some serious work for a UFC fighter return boxer.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad when it's just being called the Montana Love fight at this point, as everyone has called it. They're not even calling it Love v Fury. They're just like, oh yeah, the Montana Love fight, because he kicked the absolute shit out of Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely, it was brutal. I mean, but now I know you guys didn't get to, obviously, being there live in person, you guys didn't really get to witness the show time and all the all the TV kind of aspects of it. I don't know if you've gone back to look at it, but seeing Barstool Sportsbook kind of work and do their thing with Showtime, I think that's a great move for Barstool. I really think that's gonna, excel their brand because, I don't know if you ended up seeing the broadcast. Did you guys?
No, yeah, we didn't end up watching.
It was very funny. So, it was Dave Portnoy and Big Cat, and they did not get a single bet right the entire night. They were trying to promote Barstool Sportsbook, and they're literally placing bets. None of them got a single bet right. Like maybe they got something in the Paul fight, but I doubt it. Like it was so bad.
Yeah. Oh, that's too ironic.
I did,
like they. And it was funny too, because you could definitely tell that they had to like explain themselves to like other audience. So Big Cat just goes, listen, I'm a stupid person.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is actually really funny. Like I do find this funny. I saw Pat McAfee talking about that today on his show. So I wanted to get in on that as well, because they were pretty funny on that. But just being in the arena, like seeing all the intros and stuff like that, how electrifying is that?
Yeah, words can't really describe it.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous. It blew away your expectations. And I got to say, Cleveland is an unreal city for sporting events. I mean, the stadium was right outside where that big LeBron poster was. Everyone there is really nice. Just about every single person there from Cleveland, because you can know who they were, was wearing some sort of Cleveland attire. A lot of Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield jerseys. Oh, yeah, no, they're very passionate about their city. They put on a great show. I would go back 100%.
I love to see it. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I've heard a lot of Cleveland slander. So to hear people actually give it some love, it's always good to see. But
great.
But getting into the actual fight itself, which I do want to cover. I mean, hats off to Jake Paul. That was a great fight. On both sides too. I will say that was a great fight. And I think for a lot of Paul doubters, I think it proved to them that Jake could actually take, Jake's actually kind of been taking this thing more seriously than people have given him credit for. Because you mentioned the Nate Robinson fight, you mentioned the Ben Askren fight, and Jake just dominated him, as well as Gibb too. I mean, Jake just was worlds ahead of these guys. And I saw when he took down Nate Robinson, like everyone was saying, all right, he's an athlete, like yeah, but like he had no boxing skill, and he had no boxing skill, like he had zero fighting background. That was like, I remember watching that fight. I was like, oh, Nate's going to come in there. He's going to have some pop to him. And he's literally just running at him with his fist. I'm like, this is like the worst fighting style I've ever seen in my life. This is awful. And when Jake dropped him, I was like, that's what you get. You're just being an idiot in the ring. And then
he had that comment.
And he just tweeted too. He wants a rematch.
Why? No one wants to see it, Jake.
No one.
I'm confused on why he said that, because he's not even using Jake's name to get famous, because he's just getting roasted. Is he just trying to like stay relevant, even if it's negative at this point? Like I could take Nate Robinson. That was embarrassing.
It was bad. I mean, it was very bad. And then Ben Askren too. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big Jorge Masvidal fan. I really like him as a fighter. So when I saw that Ben Askren was getting teamed up against Jake Paul, I knew that it was not a good sign for Ben, especially coming off hip surgery. Now, Ben in his prime was a world-class wrestler, was a gold medalist, and, was, one of the top guys ever, in terms of wrestling and for men's wrestling, all the hats off to him in that arena. But he's in his later 30s now. He's had hip surgery. And I'm like, the thing that pissed me off when Jake did pick Ben Askren is that Ben Askren had gone on, the record of saying, oh, I don't need to use my fist to beat people up. I can strangle him. And I was like, oh, so that's the guy you picked. I'm like, God damn it. I was like, really? And dude, I remember just seeing Ben in the ring was just like, the stuff like looking like an old Irish boxer. I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah, when he weighed in, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Just by his physique, you could tell he just came off the couch. Like that was it.
It was terrible. And, I mean, good. I mean, he made the payday. Good for him. But when we finally got to the Woodley fight, it looked like a legitimate challenge for Jake. And starting off, it actually looked like it. In terms of the fight itself, how did you guys feel about the fight in general?
Whew, that was not what I expected to be. I was sweating in my seat. I'll be the first one to admit. Going into the fight, I knew Tyron Woodley has lost his last 4 fights, yeah. And I know he's a bit older, and I knew he's probably not going to fight in the UFC again. So I knew he was going to put up a lot more of a fight than Askren, but I did not expect that. He put in some serious boxing work and came in very well prepared and really wanted that fight.
No, he really did.
Serious. Yeah.
I will say he was putting Jake Paul on his back foot, but he wasn't throwing many punches. I think Jake almost doubled the punches thrown. So
yeah, one thing I think Tyron was more focused on not becoming a meme and getting knocked out than he was winning. He looked very timid, and he didn't really commit in the ring as much as he really could have.
Yeah. I think if Tyron had gone all in, it may have been, closer scorecard wise than, a lot of people would have thought. I mean, I saw it, and, I saw him walking out, and he had that mouth guard in, and it made his kind of like cheeks and stuff look a bit chubbier than like they typically would. I was like, oh boy, I could see this like being turned into a meme really quickly. If this guy gets knocked out, I was like, this could be really bad for him. But, and you could see in those first in the first like 2 rounds or something, it really looks like, it was a feeling out process for him. Jake got some shots here and there, but, when I saw Tyron, I thought he was going to be like a little more kind of like into it and really going like that. But, he kind of had the gloves up more than I thought he would. And it was like very passive, which actually did surprise me, based on, Tyron's past and fighting. But, that 4th round though, wow. Like Tyron actually really took it to Jake. And like, I looking back on it, had Tyron Woodley, gone all in on that round, there's a chance that he may have been able to, actually drop Jake there. Jake towards the end of that round was looking gassed, and I like that 5th round completely changed that fight. Jake surviving that round, I think was the reason that the fight swayed in his direction. Because had Tyron decided to go all in there, like you had said, I think he possibly could have ended it.
Oh, easily. Instead of just showboating, shaking your right hand, swing it.
Yeah, he chose not to swing it. That could have lost him the fight right there.
I know. I mean, they were all Jake was doing very similar stuff there himself too. So, but I was just like, if you're Tyron Woodley, they're like, he had Jake literally, not even on the ropes, through the ropes.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, like, that punch was ridiculous. And I remember seeing that land. I was like, it's like, this thing might start to turn here. Like this thing might start to turn, because Jake had the lead early, but then Tyron, I thought like in that moment there, it looked like he kind of figured it out. And, he was starting to kind of, the gears were starting to turn in his head a little bit. I was like, this might start to get bad here. And what really surprised me about Jake was the fact that he was able to overcome it and actually, prove that he, can overcome adversity. Because, come to this fight, the kid had never faced any adversity in the ring. I mean, hate to say it, but there was no one who ever really gave him a challenge.
Oh.
How did you guys feel about that? The fact that he actually got to face some adversity here.
That one around it right there, I think, should prove to a lot of people that he can fight. I mean, he just took a big right hand from a 5-time welterweight champion. I mean, not many people can take that punch. A lot of people got knocked out from that exact punch.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
like a lot of people
totally agree. From the first Nate Robinson fight, all we really learned was he has an overhand right, and then from Ben Askren, we learned he can change levels. But I mean, this fight, I wouldn't have had it any other way in hindsight, to be completely honest. He can box, he can take a serious shot, he can give them. He's got, good enough cardio to go 8 rounds, and he's about it. He showed that.
Yeah. I think in my mind, him going 8 rounds here, I think it proved a lot more to people than, him getting some knockout on Tyron Woodley. Because had he done something like that, people would have been able to say, oh, Tyron's washed, Tyron's this, Tyron's that. And, while that may have been a legitimate excuse or not, that would have been the narrative. And it would have been like, all right, Jake's kind of just this one. He's kind of like this one trick pony, has the overhead right, going to go to it on all his opponents, and that's how he's going to win. And it still would have been, penned as like these mostly celebrity themed boxing matches. But for Tyron to do this and to actually, take Jake all 8 rounds, and, for Jake to be able to survive and, actually win against Tyron here, I think it proved a lot more to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, people always said, oh, there's a missing link to Jake Paul. We haven't seen him against a real fighter, against somebody who takes him deep. And that's exactly what we just saw, which I honestly think that's going to play a big part into whoever he fights next.
Yeah. I mean, you know, speaking of whoever he fights next, I mean, it looks like he's been fighting every 4 months, which is, you know, a good track for him. If the trend continues, it looks like he may be fighting, you know, possibly on a New Year's Eve date, sometime like that, you know, towards the end of the year, which would actually be really interesting to see. You know, trying to think of future opponents. I mean, I know Tommy Fury just got beat to hell. That was a guy that they were thinking of for future opponents. I know Tyron Woodley shook with Jake Paul, saying that they would do a rematch. In your mind, who would be the next guy that you'd like to see Jake Paul face?
Masvidal, honestly. If you can get out of his UFC contract, I want to see him fight Masvidal.
Masvidal, I'd love to see him fight Masvidal. I think that would be awesome because Masvidal's a freaking animal, and I love to see him in the ring.
Or one of the Diaz brothers.
Yeah.
Because I think it was either Nick or Nate. They did come out and they said that like they were kind of like bashing Tyron for this because they were saying like, you know, he was supposed to be representing the UFC and was supposed to be doing all that, and he kind of in their minds did him wrong. I'd love to see the Diaz brothers get in there because both Nick and Nate are both animals. I mean, I don't know if you saw the last Nate Diaz fight. You know, he was getting beat to hell for 4 straight rounds, and in the last minute of the 5th, something snapped inside of him and he came alive, and you know he almost won it by knockout in the last like minute, which would have completely, which would, you know, no one thought was going to happen, but he stole the night. I remember there. But you know, I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I know like Dylan Dennis is always saying, oh, I want to fight you, and I'm just like,
he's never gonna fight.
He's never gonna fight him because like Jake Paul understands, and he looks at Dylan Dennis and like, I don't even know enough about this guy, frankly. I mean, I've only heard Dylan Dennis because it's like, oh, he's the guy who wants to fight Jake Paul, and Jake Paul knows. Yeah. And Jake Paul knows that. And because, you know, in each of his fights, he's trying to increase, you know, like the level of who he's fighting, but he's also trying to increase the reach. Dylan Dennis isn't really going to do that because, you know, sure, he has kind of a fighting background, but you know, the main thing he's in now is the social media game where Jake is as well. You know, going to Ben got that UFC original reach, getting Tyron, you know, got the, you know, the rest of it and, you know, made it like an official kind of thing. You know, I think at this point you have to go to a legitimate boxer. Now, you know, while Tommy Fury did get beat to hell, seeing him possibly on an undercard with Tyson would actually be really interesting.
Ooh, that's a good point. I like that undercard with Tyson, but I don't know.
Because I think Fury Wilder, you know, it was supposed to Fury Wilder 3. It was supposed to happen this past July, but it got pushed off due to COVID concerns. There was a way that you could push that towards the end of the year and have, you know, Jake on the under and have Tyson and have Wilder Fury as the main event. I think that'd be really fun to see.
I can see that, but I don't know if Jake will ever not be a main event again. He wants all the money, all the fame, but that would sell pay-per-views. That would get him his money.
That would get a lot of buys. So, I mean, you know, while he would want to be a main event, I mean, you know, he's not going to just be like some undercard on some random thing, but you know, Wilder Fury is going to sell. So, I mean, if you get him on that too, and you make it a stacked card like that, I think it would do really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even think that would really be looked at as an undercard a whole lot. I think that would just be 2 main events straight up. I mean,
I think so.
Reviews of all time. Who isn't going to watch those 2?
No,
fights?
It's like that would be the event of a Saturday night. Like I don't know about you, but you know, whenever I was at college and there was a UFC or any boxing match on, we were always watching it on Saturday nights. Like no matter like what we were doing, like with our friends and whatnot, that was always on. So I'd be really excited to see how that factors in.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, before we do go with you guys, I did see something from Jake Paul on Twitter. He did put out a tweet saying you know, like official status retired boxer. And what do you guys think about that?
He was on drugs at the time.
Yeah, he was drunk.
Yeah, he was drinking all sorts of crap. Yeah.
He's just trolling the internet.
Yeah, he's sucking every bit of publicity out of this that he can.
I was about to say, I mean, you proved to the world that you could actually fight these guys. If you're going to retire at this point, dude, what, I was like, it's like if he actually retires and like steps away from something that's actually making him a ton of money because he realizes that he's actually going to have to fight legitimate competition. I was going to be like, damn, that really sucks. Cause you know, whether you like it or not, he's bringing attention to the sport of boxing, and it's really awesome to see. I mean, I've been really intrigued into watching boxing as I have been with watching UFC, which is something that's come over in the past couple of years with me. But, you know, obviously you guys really thankful for having you guys on the episode today. But unfortunately, I do have to say that we are now down to the wire. which means that we're going to do a little wrap up of what we talked about in this episode today, and then we'll send you guys on your way. Obviously, welcome in Trevor and Drew Saunders to the show, along with Adam Wright, host of the Fumblerooski Podcast. If you haven't seen his podcast at this point, make sure you go over there and subscribe to him, and follow his latest episode because they just put out a new one today. But obviously, we talked about the breaking news of Cam Newton being cut by the New England Patriots and Mac Jones being named the starter. We talked about everything that means for the Patriots and all that stuff, as well as the possibility that the 49ers could be looking at cutting Jimmy Garoppolo. Gave our thoughts on that. And then once that happened, we ended up talking about, with Trevor and Drew about their experience at the latest Jake Paul fight, against Tyron Woodley, as well as their previous experience at the Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather fight. All in all, had a lot of fun with you boys today. Really glad to have you on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Trev, I'll be happy to see you when I'm back down on campus with you guys. Can't wait to have a great semester. Hopefully a little bit more of a normal one than last. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here.
I'll close it out now with saying, from Down the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
Trevor Saunders.
Drew Saunders.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Peace.